I was going to do some silly, do you know the gingerbread man joke? I know that's not how it goes, but I couldn't make it work. Hey, it's Brain Muffin back with a beer review. Do you know the Brain Muffin Man? And here we have from Damascus Brewery in Damascus, Virginia, the Gingerbread Stout. And here's interesting. So we have rich dark stout with gingerbread, caramel, and vanilla. And one of the interesting things on the side of the can, if you can read it, and we'll see if I can. This is where I definitely need some kind of reader glasses. Flavors of gingerbread cookie caramel or caramel and hints of vanilla rush to the front of the drinking experience. Right? Is that what it says? As very subtle touches of earthy hops provide a perfect balance in this beer. Now, is this going to affect what I taste? We'll see. Despite the abundance of sweetness, this gingerbread stout is extremely easy drinking and does not fatigue the palate as some overspiced holiday beers tend to do. And that is true. And this is, like I said in another video where I did a spruce IPA, this seems to be one of the two ways holiday beers, especially Christmas-esque beers, go in the craft beer world. Either some kind of hoppy thing, maybe it's overly hopped, they may use specific hops for only that beer. Maybe they add stuff like the spruce, like I mentioned, or some kind of stout porter, dark brown ale with some kind of spices. And this is kind of along those lines, right? So one of my favorite beers this time of year is Old Fezziwig. You know, I should see if I can get a bottle or can of that. I don't know if I've ever reviewed it. And if so, it's been a long time. So right off out of the nose, out of the can. And this is one of the things I think, and I said this in another beer review of them, I think they just take their draft and they can it that way. And I don't think it works very well. It just doesn't seem, nothing holds head very well. But they also might be using a bright tank. I don't know for certain. This is just my impression. And I can be very wrong, and I'm willing to be wrong. And maybe if they see this review and next time I go in and I've got it wrong, they'll straighten me out, which is fine. But it's definitely on the nose. You can smell the sweetness. And to me, it smells kind of bready. You can definitely smell the ginger, kind of the gingerbready thing. And then there's like a hint of coffee, which I'd expect out of a stout. And this is what I had. I did their pumpkin. It was a pumpkin stout, I think. The big can I did a review of, which I haven't posted yet. This one knows about both of them. They're very thin mouthfeel. Very thin mouthfeel. And I don't know why. And I like stouts with a bit of, not so much thick, but a full mouthfeel. And that's, you know, in an oatmeal stout, you'll get a lot of that. But what I find when I make stouts, this is why I use some caramel malts. And this is also why I've used flake barley in some of them. And there is some aroma, and I can taste it, that I cannot place. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like an off smell or flavor. And so some of you might say, is it too cold? This one's been sitting out for like 10 minutes. Specifically because the last one I reviewed of theirs, now sour I reviewed of theirs, was very fizzy. And this one is not. And it might be the glass. Maybe I only have the one Sam Adams glass and it's dirty now. I used to have two, but I should have seen if they had, I meant to do that at Jungle Gyms and I completely forgot. And if I can find Ed's email, maybe I'll ask my cousin if they used to have that kind of glassware for sale with a bunch of other stuff in the wine section, but I think and the wine section's expanded over the years. The beer section stayed about the same. Beer section expanded and then got expanded into. So And they still do, as far as I know, they still do wine tastings. And that I'll tell you how much more money they make from wine. Vast majority of wine I can't drink. Sulfites just give me unbelievable headaches. But it's the hint of coffee mixed with the vanilla. Maybe that's what's kind of dancing in my nose there. But I will say, this is like a 3.5 to me. I like the flavor, but I'm disappointed with the mouthfeel. No head retention whatsoever. And a stout has got to have, Guinness is your guide, okay, on a stout, especially a dry stout. Now, this is not quite a dry stout. This is a sweet stout. And there's that vanilla kind of shows up. I actually had a stout, had this exact thing, and I was not happy with the results. It was a bad recipe in my book, the one I did. And this is when I used the vanilla extract. Or something I did that I didn't, and it ended up I didn't like the result. I went back to using sticks of vanilla in the secondary, almost like vanilla beans. But it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. And so that's the things about the stout. Now, granted, I don't know if it's in the can. It's because it's canned, and I have to, if I never get back there, and they still have this on, if they have this on draft, I need to try it to see if it has the same problem. Because it could be just this the way it canned with it, and it's just kind of not there. But the mouth feels too thin. The mouth feels just way too thin for me and a stout. And I'm not, my phone is my camera, so I can't bring up my BJCP guides. But Guinness doesn't have a heavy mouth feel either. But it has a little bit more. And this is just really too thin for me. And it might be something that would benefit from nitrogen injection. Because then the head would be better, it would retain, and then it would bring more of those flavors to your nose. So, which Guinness, you got the widget and all that, it's all nitrogen. It's not natural carbonation, it's nitrogen injection. Smaller bubbles, smoother, creamier, all kinds of reasons they use nitrogen. It's just not a naturally occurring thing. The yeast, when it converts the sugars into alcohol, release CO2, and if you put that in secondary that way, cap it off, the CO2 will go into solution. And that's how I prime my own homebrew beers. I don't do, CO2 injection. I don't keg it and then bottle it. That's too many steps. I just prime it with some sugar. And I've had all the way up to 12, 13% beers do fine priming and carbonation in the bottle. Because even in secondary, I tend to use an airlock. It tends to be when I bottle it that I let the CO2 stay in solution. But yeah, it's a 3.25 for me. I'm not disappointed. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I've only bought a few cans from them, and I need to see if this is a trend or just certain types of beers, or what they're using for their canning methods. I don't know. What I guess I need to do is get some stuff on tap and then try it a can and see if it is just, I just may be being too persnickety as well, which is more than adequate a defense. So let me know. Let me know if you are in the area and you know the Damascus Brewery, because I know their distribution's not very far out of Damascus. Are there any of your favorites? Because if you go look on Untappd, there's a long list of beers. So I don't know how often they make some of those. Some of those may have been one-offs. But let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much, and we will see you. Goodbye.